went through so many different jobs, and as time goes along, I'll probably tell you a little bit more of the different things that I tried. But I've gone through all different kinds of jobs to make money. At some point throughout my political media career, I decided that I needed a supplemental job, and I wanted to work in the service industry. Women in media have a hard time making money, especially in political media where I worked. You can say it's because women will go end up having their babies and you can't invest in them long term. You can say that they're getting by on their looks, so we don't want to invest in somebody who's just getting by on her looks. You can say women's expiration time because of her looks, because she's there because of her looks, you know, she has an expiration time and then we can't invest in her for the long term. There's all different reasons why, especially in media and especially in conservative political media, women are getting paid much less. I hadn't decided yet to leave political media completely. I decided that I wanted to take a supplemental job. I wanted to work in a service industry where I can control the amount of money that I make by working harder. No restaurants wanted to hire me because I had no experience. I had applied to so many different places, so many different restaurants, bars, cafes even, and nobody wanted to hire somebody with zero serving experience. And I had applied across the board, everything I can think of. I didn't even look at what kind of restaurant it was or bar. I applied to everything. And one place got back to me, and it was a club. It was a strip club. I was kind of scared in the beginning. I was scared, and I decided to go try it out because if this is my only way into the service industry, I was going to take it. Plus, as I got more used to the idea, I thought maybe it'll be fun. Maybe I will write something about it. Maybe I'll make a story out of it, like how I'm doing right now. So I go there and I talk to the manager there. I told the manager that was interviewing me, I told her about my lack of serving experience, but I told her that I'd be willing to do whatever I can to learn as fast as possible and to be a good server. She said fine, and I told her that this is on condition that I don't have to dance. I didn't want to dance because the strippers were all butt naked and I had just left the religious community and I had zero experience with anything even remotely sexual or provocative. And I knew that I would be really uncomfortable already as it was walking around in lingerie and skimpy outfits in a strip club as a server. I couldn't imagine also dancing for a bunch of strange men. So I take the job. They agreed that it would be on condition that I wouldn't have to dance. They said I'd have to be trained in the beginning, and that's fine. So I started working. I was nervous about anybody seeing me because already by that time I had become a semi-public figure because of my media work. So I was kind of nervous. I disguised myself as much as possible. I did my makeup totally different, my hair totally different. I actually made it blonde for whenever I went in there. So imagine me with blonde hair and my makeup totally different. I even wore eyebrow makeup and very, very heavy, but just totally, my eyebrows looked totally different. And also at the same time, I was wearing clothes that I would normally never wear, so I just looked like a totally different person. I started working there, and I was really impressed. It was like a sisterhood. Everybody was helping each other out. There was this sort of like, it was a team. It was a team of girls who were helping each other milk the men who walked into that club. This was a little bit of a high-end club. Everything was insanely expensive. There were all types of very wealthy men who walked in there. And our job as servers and dancers was to try and milk them as much as possible of what cash they had in their pockets. I loved it. I loved being in a team with girls. We'd all go inside the changing room, we'd have our conversations, talk, get out, get on the floor, do our thing, flirt with the men. As a server, I was not allowed to perform in any way for money, but I still got tips from the people I helped serve. People still gave me tips just for standing around. I also helped a lot of the girls out. I would basically spy on the men who went to get money from their ATM machines, see how much money they were taking out. Let's say they were taking out $400, and then I'd go and tell whoever it was that was focused on that guy, I would tell her how much money he has. So if she only got 200, she would know to keep going and try to get the rest of that 400. They did a really good job at it. The girls were so good at what they were doing. There's this one guy who wanted specifically a girl with a thick bush. So I went and looked for a girl with a thick bush. And there was this one girl who had it, so she got to work on that guy. The talent not only made money from stripping, dancing, and getting cash thrown at them, they also made money by flirting, by the bar or on couches or wherever, and they also made money going into separate rooms where they spent one-on-one time with the men. The men had to pay rent for those rooms, in addition to paying for the strippers, in addition to whatever they paid on top of that. These men spent so much money. These men spent an insane amount of money, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how much men will empty out their pockets for what seems to be nothing. Maybe they got contact information and they kept in touch with some of the men and went and prostituted themselves. That's possible. Got sugar daddies. That's possible. But in the club itself, these guys spilled so much money, and it was fascinating. I remember one night, this Russian girl complaining that she had the worst night ever, and I was like, why? Like, you didn't make any money? She's like, no, I only made $5,000, and I was like, what? She only made $5,000 that night? It's just a night, not even like their day job. She only made $5,000 that night, and she's complaining, she's like sad. I was just impressed. Not all the girls were stupid and lazy and on drugs like how the public talks about. They were really impressive. There were so many businesswomen, there were so many hustlers, there were women who were collecting all this money and investing into real estate. They were using their money for productive things. There were women who were using their money to invest in their educations. One girl was studying in the medical field. There was another girl who was a professor. I think she was like a math professor or something, and she wasn't making a lot of money as a professor. So this was like her side thing. She drove in from another town 2 hours away. The whole process gave me so much of a newfound respect for women who work at strip clubs. The media and the public will have you believe that these women are oppressed, that these women are oppressed in some way, that they're lazy, that they're just using their bodies. They are using their bodies, but guess what? These women are smart. All these men who are going in there and thinking that they're so much smarter than these women. By the way, you know what a lot of the women will do? The women will pretend to be on your political side. They will talk to you about your politics, and they'll pretend to have the same politics as you. They will pretend to be dumb because men don't like it. A lot of these men, they want to feel powerful. They don't like talking to a girl who knows more than them or who is more successful or powerful. A lot of men, not all men. A lot of men were the type who didn't like to talk to really smart women because it made them feel less powerful to talk to women who was maybe more successful or more successful than they are or smarter than they are. So the women would discern in those situations. The women would know which situations are like that, and they would know to not talk about their jobs too much, to not talk about what they're studying or what they're doing. These were smart women. They all had stage names. Even the servers had stage names. Sure, they were using their bodies, but in my opinion, they were using their brains a lot more than their bodies, because not all the women were the hottest thing on the planet. Not all the women were gorgeous. I mean, there were some gorgeous women, but a lot of average-looking women who managed to use what they had in a very smart way and make a lot of money hustling. There were a lot of women who fell into the trap of doing drugs and spending their money just like water on things that were either bad for them or that were trivial. that weren't investing their money, that weren't saving up their money, and they weren't prepared for the real world. Some of them weren't in school. They were just using this as their career. What happens when you are not fit anymore to serve, and you can't make money in the real world because you don't know how to? When I was there, the manager was really mean. The manager was mad that these men wanted me to serve them because I had no serving experience. She would be like, no, you're training, so you need to go and be a shadow to this other server who's gonna be the one serving them. So she always tried to keep me on the side. She wouldn't let me go, and anytime she saw me talking to one of the guests, she would pull me back and be like, no, you need to stand over here and watch the women who are dancing. I didn't understand why. She forced me to stand in front of the dancers the whole time, so I had to stand there and for hours watch women shaking their booties for men on stage. And I didn't understand why she forced me to do that the whole time when I wasn't even gaining any serving experience. I wasn't even learning how to serve, just standing there. I wasn't making money except for the guys who literally would come over and hand me cash, and she would get mad at that. She would be like, you're taking away money from the talent. And it's like, no, I wasn't taking away anybody's money. These men literally were coming up to me and handing me money because they wanted to, even though I told them that I'm not a dancer and I'm not gonna be dancing for them. And she was so mean. And then in general, the club owner did treat the women like meat. He would come in there and he would yell at all the women, what are you doing? What's taking you so long? He was mean and harsh to the girls. They were still smart and had very strong confidence, so it didn't bother them. They were like very tough, and they didn't care. They were making their money. They were gonna go and do what they needed to do. I was training the whole time, and I kept asking, like, when is this training over? Am I like a server now? What's happening? Can I like serve like a normal person instead of just shadowing other people? At some point she said, if you want to stay here, you have to dance. If you can't dance, you're getting fired. And I was like, well, I don't know how to dance. I was very religious until just recently. I don't even know how to flirt properly. I wasn't even allowed to physically touch men. We're dating in the normal way, and you want me to go and like totally strip on stage and go and dance for men that I don't know? And she's like, it's not a big deal. All you have to do is just get on there and shake yourself in however way possible. You don't have to be a professional dancer. Just get up there and shake it. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And I think she thought that I would stay there. I think she thought that since she threatened to fire me, I would stay there. I would be like, oh no, I want to dance. Because I mean, I would have made a lot of money if I did dance. And she was wrong. I was like, okay, and I left. And that was the end of my time at the strip club. They didn't end up paying me for the time I was there, even though they promised to pay me. They didn't pay me even a penny when I left. And I was calling them for months after that. I was calling them. I was like, I worked full time at that club for 2 weeks. You need to pay me. They just didn't answer. They didn't answer their phone. And finally, I threatened the manager with a lawsuit. I was like, I have a lawyer. I'm gonna come and sue you guys for not paying me. You didn't even pay me my salary. You tried to coerce me into getting naked on stage, and then you also didn't pay me anything. I'm gonna sue you guys. I'm gonna sue the shit out of you. I'm gonna shut your club down. They were like, okay, we're gonna send you money. They sent me $80 in the mail. $80. It was like kind of like an FU. It was really shitty of them, but by that point, I was like, you know what? I have a job. I'm fine. I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna forget about it. And I didn't tell anybody about it because I wanted to wait for the right time to tell you guys. I knew this would be an interesting video. So I waited until this time when I feel a little bit more stable, and I waited for the time when I don't need to try and impress any other employer. I work for myself now, so I don't feel the need to impress anybody else. That's why I made this video. I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving, whether you're with your family, whether you are with friends, or whether you're by yourself and you're just gonna be home eating your own pie and prepackaged turkey from Trader Joe's. Definitely like this video. Please like this video. It would make me very happy. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That's my goal, is to try and get this following as high as possible. And I'll see you all later on my live stream. you.